All right. All right, Erikka. Thank you so much for being on my Michelle Got Goals podcast today. And so I read up about you and I see that you wear a whole lot of hats. So it would be best if you just introduced yourself a little bit and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Hi. First off, thank you so much for having me. I am truly honored. Like I was telling you, I'm always shocked when people find me and ask me to speak and be on their podcast. So thank you again. I'm Erikka Yvonne. I do wear many hats. So I'm a graphic designer, brand manager, creative director, all summed up into Creative Bestie is how some people identify me. But then I'm also the founder and editor-in-chief of Strut In Her Shoes, which is a platform for women to essentially share their story, their journey, and their thoughts. Last May, we actually took that a step further and launched, not last May, last February, we took that a step further and launched a magazine, which has been amazing so far. Work, but amazing. But then I'm also on the staff of Black Magazine and Boss Blue currently.
All right. So you said you also have it in print, not just online?
Yes. So we print quarterly.
Okay, cool. All right.
Print quarterly. So our first issue of this year will come out in May.
Awesome.
May 23rd. We're going to try for the 23rd of every issue, but our goal date to have it out ready to purchase within some local stores will be May 23rd.
What type of stores where would we be able to find your magazine?
So one store that a couple stores that we have solidified right now, Detroit Sip on the west side, they'll carry our magazines. And then All Things Marketplace in Corktown will also carry the magazines.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. And yes, your magazine was how I came across your information. And like I said, I don't remember how I found you or the magazine. I keep an eye on local entrepreneurs, or I just pick up on things, right? Because for my podcast, I want to stay informed and see who is interesting to interview, who can tell her story. So I came across your website and I found it really inspiring. The stories that you share. I mean, I was just on there, even was about a good girl with STDs. I'm like, clutching my pearls. Like,
and the thing is, that story is probably about 4 or 5 years old.
It was older, you're right.
But that is still one of the top read stories. And the girl that actually wrote it, Jamila, it was her personal story. And she had an event after, and she was like, this story went viral, but it didn't just go viral because of me, but it went viral because you like helped publish it. And I was like, girl, no, it's the story. Like, it's not this, but it is still like, when we look at the read, that is still one of the top ones that is read to this day.
That's interesting.
And it was her, honestly, I say, like, one, the title is catchy because don't put those two and two together. Her story is so unique, and to see where she is today, like, I was like, we're gonna have to talk to you again. Like, you have to publish something else, because now she's married, she's getting ready to have her first kid. So to see her journey and where she is now is crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then of course you also have a lot of business profiles, women that just made it, which is so inspiring. And I found when you sent me your biography, I thought we're a little bit alike just by wanting to inspire and uplift other females, basically.
Yes.
Because it seems, looking at you, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, obviously I'm niche to entrepreneurs on my podcast, but it's all about exchanging information, uplifting each other, and just building a community.
Definitely. I think currently, I mean, we've probably got a little bit out of it, but in the last couple of years, like, this mean girl community has truly stepped up and taken over, and people aren't comfortable going to networking events and connecting with women again, because you never know if they're going to be like this mean girl or they're going to accept you or whatever. And so when we started Strut, that was one thing that we really wanted to tackle, was we're a safe space. Like, it doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what you're going to go through. Like, you will always have someone here, because we also think that there's power and healing and sharing your story. So I'm not just sharing what I went through for me. I'm sharing it because you will probably go through the same thing. And if you can read that I made it through and how I made it through, then that's going to encourage you to also get through it.
Exactly. So yeah, I loved when I read that, your biography and went over your site a little more. So with working at Black or being contributor, and then did you work there before you started Strut?
No.
No,
So
okay.
actually, I got my job for Black from starting Strut. So I was for a different position there. But I thought it was going to be a conflict of interest because I was like, I just launched my magazine. And again, I don't want anyone to be blindsided at the fact that you may, or some may see me as your competition, even though we're serving two totally different audiences. I just started a magazine myself. So is this a conflict of interest? They were like, no. Tell me about the magazine. And then after months of talking about how I can help them and how I can join the team and how they can help me, I actually became editor-in-chief.
Oh, that's really great to hear, actually, because I think a lot of us entrepreneurs that are side hustling still and working full time, we're so afraid that what is my employer going to say? Or even if is it even possible? But for you to actually starting, I mean, you had your own magazine and they still said, hey, your talent, what you have to say, we would love to have you on staff. It's encouraging to hear because I'm sure it holds a lot of people back because they don't want to lose that security.
And when I applied, because I was going for the art director position, because like I said, my background is in design. Mm-hmm. And so I was going for that. He was like, well, did you apply? And I was like, no, I thought it was a conflict of interest. And he was like, you should have still applied. But that still opened the conversation for what else I could do, how else I could assist, and vice versa, how they could assist me with Strut and all of that. So it was still an amazing thing. Like I said, I'm still on the team, not operating in the same capacity, but Black will forever have me on their team and will always be a partner in some way with Strut.
No, that's encouraging to hear that there are employers out there that will just see what you have to bring, and competition is not always bad, because I mean, the market is, like you said, with the radio shows earlier, like we listen to different shows for different reasons. There's so much space for all of us, There's
so much space. And honestly, we really do target and market and talk to two totally separate audiences, where even if we were to put out the same article, you probably wouldn't know it because the way we talk to our audience is completely different than the way they talk to their audience, right?
Right.
So audience is primarily women ages 18 to 35. Their demographic starts at 35. Gotcha. We're way more personable. So you're going to read our stories and be like, hey girl, no, don't do this. And they're a little bit more professional, but that's how their audience receives the information. So it's totally different. And I didn't see it that way until I actually started working with both.
Okay, cool. But now that I know that, so how did you start your magazine? I kind of figured you already kind of knew the ins and outs because you were working at a magazine, but if you started before, like, no. How did you get the courage? I mean, because your magazine looks flawless. Like, I'm like, this is so pretty. Us girls, we're like, ooh, it's easy to maneuver. I mean, it's just really great,
Honestly, it was a combination of the pandemic. I would say the pandemic gave me the push I needed. So actually during the pandemic, that year before, my best friend and I, who's like my right hand with Strut, we said, let's take a year off. Let's really decide what Strut is supposed to be, where it's supposed to go, who it's supposed to inspire. We've been doing this. So I actually started it in 2014.
Okay.
And at that time, it was just a blog. In my mind, it was going to be my personal blog, sharing my personal story. And God was like, it's not about you, sis. And I was like, but wait a minute. Who is it about? And so during that time, I had to take a pause, like, okay, let's rethink this. And I published the first story I published. That was an interview of someone else. Her name was Shannon, and she was actually Canadian.
Okay.
Like, from Canada. Never met her in person, but she was like, "Oh, sure, girl, interview me." And she gave me all the tea on her. And I was like, wait. I remember being in the parking lot of Marshall's interviewing her. And I was like, this is so amazing because one, I'm not a journalist. And two, you don't know me. And you're literally like, let me tell you how I got through my divorce. And I was like, okay, let's keep going. So that's how I would say the blog portion, the website portion got started.
Okay.
Like I said, the pandemic really pushed me to take it a step further. I started realizing during the pandemic, people was losing faith. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, this is not the time for that. Like, right. Yes, it's a scary thing because the millennials, we haven't lived through anything like this. Yes, some of us are losing our jobs, but this is not the time for us to lose faith and to be scared and to be on social media crying. This is not the time for that. And so I'm a huge fan of Sarah Jakes Roberts. And she had a sermon called Applying Pressure, or that was like the message. I don't believe that was the name, but that was the message. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that night, it was actually like 2 days after we were on lockdown. That night, I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning. I redid our website. I published our new articles myself. And I was like, it's time for Strut to come back. Like, we've been on a break, but it's time for us to come back because the people need us at this point. Right. And so during the pandemic, I actually built an app that I never released as well. Okay. I built an app that I never released. I also, we used to have events monthly pre-pandemic. Right. And so getting back into like building an in-person community. But for the magazine, it was literally like, these articles just live online. Mm. I know how I felt when I would pick up an Essence magazine when I was younger, or when I would look at Jet. And so why can't we do the same? Like, we're literally a platform for women to share their story, their journey, and their thoughts. Why not just add a different product to do that? Right. And that's how the magazine came about. I told my family, like, for my 30th birthday, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is the gift to my... And then when I started telling my friends, they was like, well, you have to share your story. And I was like, whoa there, I'm not Oprah. Not Oprah, don't know what you're talking about. But then I was like, you know what? It makes sense. And so I set it up to where I had someone interview me. And this is all 2020. So I had someone interview me on Zoom. I did a photo shoot. And I was like, all right, I released the cover on my 30th birthday. And I allowed people to pre-purchase it. But then we didn't actually send them out until February of 2021. Okay. So that was the official launch. And then after that, we had plans to do other prints, but they were all digital after that. And so this will be our first print one since last February.
Okay, that's awesome. Last February, you mean 21, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, I look forward to it. And that's so crazy that you mentioning, you see, that's about having all these fears. Like, I've been thinking about putting together a journal, like, you know, because I'm all about setting goals. So for 2023, I would like to maybe make my own journal. You're printing a whole magazine, and I'm sitting over here like, where do I start?
Listen, so silly. It was literally fear after fear after fear after fear. Like, putting out the cover, honestly, was the easiest thing for me. I designed the cover so quick. Actually pushing publish on the cover was easy. Pushing publish on it to be to be pre-purchased was something totally different. And because I did it on my birthday, I literally found myself sitting there like, oh my gosh, people are buying. Wait, I haven't even posted on social media. How are people buying? How do they know? Wait, what's going on? And when I tell you, like, of course it was family and friends, but then I had people as far as California purchasing. And I'm like, I don't know you. How did you buy my magazine? And then because I also did something different to where the magazine came in a subscription box. So once you order from us, you got a strut box. I have one somewhere. You got a strut box that your magazine was delivered in with products from small businesses and deals. So then that became a thing. Like, so when can I get another strut box? And I'm like, whoa, guys, like,
slow down.
wasn't prepared for all of this. And so even honestly, from that launch into actually going through production of the print, it was honestly fear after fear after fear. Like, I literally kept telling myself, who do you think you are, Oprah?
Right.
Like, so many times. And then when I actually, so my brother, his birthday gift to me was to get the books published.
Okay.
So I didn't even have the money factor at that point. And I still didn't go through with getting it done until January, when my friends was like, all right, listen, you put this cover out.
Right.
You see people buy it. What are you going to do now? And I was like, but who? I'm not Oprah. And they like, we know you're Erikka. And I'm like, oh, you're right. You're right. And so I think in that sense, it really does take like your support system and your friends to push you, because fear is going to come. I was scared of what was going to come after I put out the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's honestly what continued that fear and that procrastination after I even put it out, to why we didn't have another print one. It was procrastination. It was that fear. It was, I love Essence so much, and I know this has the power to be Essence, but do I have it in me to make this an Essence?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna go to sleep. And then I went through a deep depression, which also didn't help. So when I was shipping them out, that was probably the lowest moment, because I was like, I've accomplished this big thing, but then I'm also still grieving my grandmother's death, and she passed away 10 years ago, but I never dealt with it. And because she was my biggest cheerleader, it was like, wait, she would be so proud, but I can't hear.
So proud, yeah. She's not here to witness.
Not here to witness it. So then that also sent me in like a little dark tunnel. And so the fear is gonna come. You honestly, that's when your support system come in and just say, listen, you gotta do it.
You got this.
Something else that helps me is knowing that, and this helps me, but then it's also is like pressure. Knowing that there's people that I'm meant to impact and I'm meant to inspire. And if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, then that's going to stop them from going to their next. And I never want to be the person that's going to hold anyone else up.
Right.
So it could be as simple as, I've had a couple interns at this point. And one is, she was amazing. They were both in college. They both received college credit. They were both super amazing, but one literally came in and was like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I'm like, wait, that is amazing. But if I would have never kept going, if we would have stayed on that break, I would have never met her. If I would have never met her, we would have never had shirts that say strut, don't stress. We would have never, like, it's literally a trickle. So I'm like, okay, I see. Like, I have to keep going regardless, because there's people that's meant to help me along this journey, that I'm meant to impact along this journey. And if I don't keep going, if I stop right here and get off this bus not gonna keep going because I'm the driver.
Right.
So
there's a lot of pressure, Erikka.
Journals. And the easy way to do the journals where you don't have a lot of overhead costs, because that's a big thing, is drop shipping. You can design a cover. Look into what? So it's drop shipping. There's Printful, Printify, and they have journals on there. You design the cover, and then you can have people purchase them. And if they do good, then you can go deeper into, okay, now I want to customize some pages inside the journal, and I want to do this. But you have to gauge people's interest first.
Of course, yeah. But it makes sense. I will look into it. It's just funny. I was just thinking about it at work today and Googling about it. And here you are issuing complete magazines, sending them to California.
Listen, I was like, California. And honestly, I do a lot of things afraid. And so it was even a matter of when I received the magazines and it came to shipping them out, I'm like, how am I supposed to ship these out? What am I supposed to do? Wait, I'm not prepared. But my friends, again, you got to just do it. All right, you're right. So we about to just go ahead and order this. And all right, my other best friend, she already ships things out because she has a shop. So she's like, here, print your labels with this and do it. And I'm like, okay. It's the hardest thing is honestly just doing it.
Just doing it.
Just doing it. And it's your mindset. Your mindset is going to fight you against it every time because there's always going to be something against you on why you shouldn't. But deep down inside that you should. So just do it.
I love that you say that, Erikka, because it's so honest, because you're right. I have that fear so many times. And I'm in trade compliance. I'm a licensed customs broker. So I train companies on how to import in compliance with US Customs, right? Mm-hmm. And when I have a course, so many times I feel like, who am I even to, just because I'm a licensed customs broker, there's so many scenarios when it comes to importing commodities. But when I'm done with a course, they love it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this was so helpful. This was so great. Thank you. I'm like, okay.
Listen, I'm meeting people today that find out that I have a magazine. They're like, oh my goodness, what? Like, that's amazing. And to me, I'm like, I mean, it's just a magazine.
Right. Right.
And they, and then they flip through and they like, wait, who designed this? I'm like, I did. So and to us, the things that we do on the daily, the things that we think are amazing, or the things that we don't think are amazing, people aren't going to think that way. Like, these are fresh eyes looking at it. So you may be discouraged and think, no one's going to buy my journal. But do you know how many people love journals and they buy journals literally just because?
Right.
Like, literally just because. I even have journals that are unopened, untouched, without a pen mark in them.
Me too. I got like a little stack. I love journals.
It's crazy, but that's one thing I feel like we're not, especially women, we're not going to get tired of, because it takes nothing for us to grab a journal and just take some notes. Right. Or express our feelings, right?
Yes. And yeah, I got like a journal because I do, I have my business. I'm a new real estate agent. I got my podcast. So I have a journal for each, task, like for each what I'm doing. So
right. Do the journal. I'll be looking out for it.
Well, thank you. I will let you know. And I will be looking for your magazine in May, late May.
So I'm really excited for this issue. We're doing Strut Women of the Year. So we have 4 women that we're honoring. Okay. And then we always do a double cover. So our first issue, the double cover, was a guided journal. And that was going to be something that we did every issue, but then we received feedback. Like, I don't want to write in my notebook. I don't want to write in my journal. And I'm like, it's a magazine. Like, you're just going to keep it anyway. I don't want to write in it. And so this year, for this issue, we're actually trying something different. And we're putting an older woman that's outside of our audience on the cover. And she's going to share her story. So the back issue, this is something we're trying out because my mother and my mentor are like, listen, I want to strut too.
Right.
Okay. Another component of Strut will honestly be bridging the gap between generations. So I know conversations I have with my mom and her friends, we think about things differently. Millennials, we're off the cuff. Like, if I'm not happy, I'm quitting this job. I don't care. It don't matter if I don't have no money saved. I don't care. Like, I can figure it out. Whereas they're, oh, we need stability. We need security, all this other stuff. And so honestly, bridging the gap to make some of those conversations more acceptable around the table. And so our cover for this one, she's actually a pastor, but she's a pastor that's never been married, that desires marriage, and
Okay.
also have any kids, and she's over 60.
Oh.
And I'm like, wait, we need to talk about this, because here I am in my 30s thinking that my clock is running out on kids and everything else. And these are things that you desire and that you're still okay with going after. Your mindset is totally different, because you like, no, this can still happen for me at 60. And
Right.
here I am, it ain't happening at 35.
Right.
So it's just not happening. And so we're going to have that conversation. And then we also will have some pieces submitted from other people that's over 35, just providing insight to bridge that gap.
That's awesome.
Yes. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this issue. It's always going to be all about women.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have to talk about guys because they're a part of our life, right?
Right.
But
unfortunately, sometimes.
Unfortunately, right? But at the end of the day, we're literally just empowering and inspiring women to threaten. And that's all.
So the 4 women that you guys nominated, so you have the pastor on the cover, and then you have 4, are these all local women? Because I see on your website, that's not local. You have stories from all across the country. Which
So the 4 women that are on the cover are all local.
Okay, cool.
And then we have some stories that's inside that are not local. But the 4 women are local to Detroit. And I think, I don't want to give it away, but I think people will also agree that these 4 women are truly bosses. And one is very popular. 2 just have amazing stories. Like one of our ladies, she lost both of her parents within a month of each other.
Ooh.
And she's a mother herself. And with all of that, and her parents were super close. Mm-hmm. And with all of that, she finished school, she got her master's, and now she's a therapist. And I'm like, wait, you never stopped. You would have found me under a rock.
Right.
You would have found me under a rock, because don't talk to me. I have a lot going on. Like, I need my time, but she honestly never stopped. And her spirits are always so high, and she's always inspiring. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, no, you like, when we said we were going to do Strut Women of the Year, she was honestly the first person I thought of, because how?
Right.
Like, how? And in this time, everyone, I would say since the beginning of the pandemic, we have all lost someone, and it doesn't even have to be death, but we're grieving friendships that we may have lost. We're all grieving. And for her to do it with such grace, I'm like, you deserve your flowers, and we're going to give them to you, because you're not one of the most popular in the city. You're pretty low key, but your light and the people that you inspire is shining all throughout. So people deserve to know you, your name, and your story.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah, I really look forward to seeing the magazine.
And all of them are mothers. So that was also another exciting part with it coming out in May. They're all mothers, all under, I want to say they're all under 35. Okay. So yeah. Cool. I'm really excited.
So okay, you keep saying we. So who is Strut? Like, it's your bestie, it's your best friend. And
yeah. I have a team, actually the whole team. I would say the management part of the team are all close friends of mine that I trust, that I would also say trust me. So yeah, Strut is me and my friends.
So you have payroll to meet.
Huh?
You have payroll to meet?
Now, yes.
Is that scary sometimes?
So yes.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
It's a responsibility.
None of us were paid.
Oh, it's mostly
they were all volunteering their time.
Okay.
And now most of us aren't paid. Like, I don't get paid from Strut.
Okay.
We just pay our writers, and then she calls blog editor, digital managing editor. She gets paid, but that's it. And the writers. The rest of us is I don't get paid at all. My best friend doesn't get paid. And then this will probably be the first time that we pay the stylists. Okay. And then of course we pay like photographers, makeup artists and stuff like that.
Of course. Cool. So how do you find your guests that you report on? Or I see there's an area where you can contribute. Like, how do you go about what you publish?
So we don't really turn people away, right? Mm-hmm. So turning a story away is like me judging your story. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that. That's not for me to judge. I have had to, now the only time I did have to turn a story away, this was at the beginning. And this was actually someone that I reached out to that I really wanted to feature because I'm like, oh, she's a boss. But she was like, no, I just do this because it makes me money. I ain't passionate about it. And I was like, whoa.
That's a weird story.
Story that doesn't really align with our values. So you cool, we can keep in touch, but we're not publishing this. And we did it. That doesn't align with our values. Like at that time, of course, we were just getting started with entrepreneurs, but I was already an entrepreneur. I had my advertising agency at that time. And while I understand that you as entrepreneurs, there are some entrepreneurs that will have businesses that they're not necessarily passionate about, but they're feeling a need. Mm-hmm. That's okay. But that's just not a story that I'm willing to tell and share because we do passion first over here.
Right.
Like you have to be passionate about it. So that was probably the only story that we've turned away. Everything else we've published, unless it was something that like I said, I seeked out and I was looking for like a particular thing and it wasn't delivered in the way that I wanted it to be or what our initial concept was. And honestly, then it's not just me. It's like, what you think about this? And if my team like, nah, this don't fit us, then okay, we're not gonna do it. But most of the time, we do have the contributor tab always open. We have the submit your story always open. So you don't have to be a contributor each time. You may just have something to get off your chest. And honestly, that's how we ran in the beginning, where we didn't have contributors that contributed often. We had people that literally is like, you know what? I'm ready to tell my story. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's tell it.
You give them the space.
We have both things now. We have contributors that are all over the world that write consistently for us, but then we also have people that may submit just one story. And then of course we're going out doing interviews as well. And typically those women are people that we are getting like publicists that reach out to us now. And so a publicist may reach out to us like, hey, you might be interested in this. Or I'm always scrolling on social media, even though I don't post as much. I'm always scrolling. So if I come across a social media post or a person, if it's a person that I come across and I'm not really sure of their story, I follow them, watch them for a minute before I decide, okay, this is somebody we need to talk to.
That's a good tip.
Yes. So yes, I do watch people just because now that we are a magazine and a lot of our stories that are digital will go into the print. So we're not producing all new content because we do produce so much content. We know that everybody's not reading what's online. Mm-hmm. And so some of those do make it into the print issue. And this is something that's going to forever be tied to us. This is a person that will forever be known as a feature or whatever. And so we need to make sure that the values align.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. That makes sense now because I do see that you do publish quite a lot. I'm like, whoa, they're busy over there.
Yes. And honestly, that has been in the last 6 months that we've been publishing more. We used to just like, we were okay with 1 or 2 articles a week because it honestly started off as a passion project. Like it was a passion project of mine. My best friend came along when she saw I was doing shoe drives and reaching back out to the community and giving back is her passion. So then we joined forces, and then all my other friends kind of just, can you do this? Oh, you like doing it? Okay, you want to be on the team? And that's kind of how it flowed. And so I'm very grateful that because my team now have been my team for some years.
Okay.
Whether it was just on one-off projects or not, like they've been my team for years. So I'm very grateful that they have helped me grow it as far as it has gone, because I wouldn't be here without them.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no way that I like Strut will be here, because I don't even know half the articles that's going online.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's
that's how
team.
I have a team. And so Jalen, who is my blog editor, we went to college together, and she handles that portion. And then she's like, hey, like so the podcast I still manage. And so if we have people reach out to us to be on the podcast, like she'll send it my way, or she like, hey, this person reached out to us, you want to do a podcast? But for the most part, I don't know what stories are going up on the website until they're up on the website, or if she needs something from me. So I'm very grateful for all the work that my team puts in, because like I said, I wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way I would be able to do both.
Right. No. So how often, what is the name of your podcast?
So the podcast is called Strut Talk. We publish monthly, once a month. So we did season 1, and season 1 was like more bi-weekly. Mm-hmm. And it was me and my best friend as hosts, and then we had interviews and stuff. And this one, it's just me, and it's monthly. Our last one we just did, I think it went up about a week or two ago. Her name was Melissa. She calls herself the fairy godmother of skincare.
Okay.
And in Louisiana, and she has 2 spas currently. So she was just talking to us about that process, again, tackling fear, and honestly just being a woman entrepreneur and the things we go through and balancing life within that. And so this end of the podcast has really been focused on entrepreneurship. The first 2 episodes were focused on mental health, because that's where me and my best friend was. So we did those episodes together. But the last 3 episodes have been focused on entrepreneurship. And of course, we have to talk about mental health, because being an entrepreneur weighs on your mental health in a whole nother way that we don't talk about often.
Exactly. That's the only reason why I asked about payroll, because it's, it's a responsibility if you build a team, and having overhead, meeting all those costs every month. It's a responsibility.
Yes.
People don't understand, even though it's just a small podcast that I'm running right now, it still costs money.
It still costs money. Yes.
And I have my business, and I have to bring in certain charges every month, even though I'm not full-time in it. But you have to be presentable, to your audience, to your target, clients. So I cannot have no Wix page up there, or whatever it's called. It has to look professional. So It costs money. So that's why I was asking that.
Overhead, there's definitely overhead costs. And with us, this is actually probably the first edition where we're accepting advertisers to purchase packages and to actually, I don't want to say invest, but invest in the magazine, but also find ways to where we can help them. So we did go forward with a media kit this year, allowing businesses to purchase advertising packages and different things that we can do for them in exchange for funds.
Of course.
The first year. Before then, it was completely funded by me in my pocket, my entrepreneur pockets. And so that's also a whole nother ball game, because my money is not consistent entrepreneurship money is not always consistent. You don't always know where that next dollar is coming from. And so that, again, I'm just grateful for my team that has stuck with me, because like I said in the beginning, they weren't being paid. They was getting paid with love. They was getting paid with free work. If they ever needed anything that I was an expert in, of course, they knew I had them. But that's what I'm just saying. I'm just so grateful that they've stuck with me this long. Actually, the beginning of this year, the beginning of last year, my number 1 goal was to be able to pay my team.
Awesome. Yeah.
And people that was on my team then, I had a full team, still people that I knew, but only 2 of them from there are still on the team. And by December, I think No, October of last year is when we were able to start paying them.
Okay.
Through an investor that we had. And so again, it's I would say it was probably a little easier because I had that investment coming through, but
that's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's why we have investors sometimes, for capital. So that's cool. It's all coming together.
It is. I'm very grateful. Even sometimes me and my best friend, her name is Shantae. I realized I never said her name. We'll be on the phone talking and be like, we've came so far. We remember when we were planning conferences in 2 weeks and hosting events monthly to now we're still like, we want to get back to that in-person interaction, but like we've came so far. We've came so far, and the things that we've accomplished, even when it was a passion project, like partnering with Auto, that's the shoe store. Yeah, partnering with Auto to collect used shoes, and everybody that donated shoes to us received a coupon. Like having events in Auto was amazing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Right. Like we were like, wait, we need to figure out if we can do this again. We know things have changed, but we've just been able to accomplish so much that this journey has been amazing. And I can't see where we are in the next 5 years.
What is the goal? Where to be in the next 5 years?
So I do want to move the publication up to printing bi-monthly. So I don't ever want to be a monthly publication. I think every other month. So that would be 6 a year. Versus 4 a year. And then we're starting a nonprofit organization that'll tie into it. I also will move forward with the app. I hesitated because, like I said, I built it and I never put it out. And so one of the goals this year is to actually put the app out so that it could kind of serve as a community that's right there on your phone. We can see those motivational quotes throughout the day that sometimes we need.
Right.
But you can also vent in there to people. You can also find the magazine and all of that in there. And so building a little community through the phone is one of the goals.
So it's like a safe space app.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what's the nonprofit based on that you want to start? You said you wanted to start a nonprofit?
Yes, so it's called Our Girls Club. We'll be mentoring girls 10 to 15 in age. And honestly, it's just we'll be mentoring girls that also have aspirations of being entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Pairing them up with, so we didn't want to do the general mentor-mentee relationship because you can get that anywhere. So really, the relationship I have with my niece, she calls me TT, and then a relationship I have with my auntie that I call TT. So instead of us being mentors, we'll be aunties, because what you talk to your auntie about is completely different than what you'll talk to your mom about.
Right.
And so establish that type of relationship early. We'll actually be doing like our freshman class of that this summer.
You're a busy lady.
Yes. Yes. And I'm also, the big thing that I am excited about within the next 5 years is starting a whole publishing house. So the publishing house will house not only Strut magazine, but then also the teen magazine that I want to start, and all of those good things. And then the books that Strut will be putting out, because we've had ideas for books for so long that we just haven't been able to do. And I would say in the next couple months, there will be a publishing house that's filtering these things. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I see. It's not going to be boring over where you are.
Oh, it'll never be boring. It'll never be boring. It'll always be busy.
Clearly, we have our own little Oprah in Detroit. Okay, clearly. Those aspirations.
I don't like Oprah right now, so I don't want to be Oprah. Oprah, she not always like, and granted, I won't always be like, but I think in the sense of Oprah literally being a trailblazer in media, that is something that I do aspire. And though my degree is in advertising and public relations, so I'm not trained in journalism or any of that. But to me, they go hand in hand. And so I literally just want to inspire and empower women and girls to keep strutting. And whatever way we can do that is how we're going to do that. So that's collaborations, that's events, that's this app, that's a separate magazine that is tailored to teens. Because like I said, a lot of people say that print publications are going out of style. But what we know is that things come full circle.
True.
So they may not be, everybody may want everything on their phone right now. But we're also at the point where people are like, no, I need something to hold. I need something to touch. And when I think about Essence and how they've been able to adjust with the times, but they've never lost their touch. I still get the same feeling that I got when I was 15 picking up an Essence magazine that I do now. Mm-hmm. And that's what I aspire for Strut to be. Of course, Essence is going to always be Essence. We're not coming for Essence head. But I do want Strut to be able to be on shelves next to Essence and for you to get that same feeling.
I mean, I think you totally can. I used to subscribe to Essence, and a funny story, I stopped my subscription when they used to have a page only dedicated to entrepreneurs or just a women in business or something like that. And they stopped doing that years ago. And I stopped my subscription because of that. Because I'm not just about fashion. I always liked that part where they talked about women that did it. Mm-hmm. Made it. Not a star, just a regular woman in whatever profession she chose, that she made it.
Right.
And it took that little page out.
That's something that'll always be unique to Strut, because we're not, even though there definitely will be times where we feature a celebrity, where we interview a celebrity and we talk about a celebrity. We have a couple that's on our list now that we want to reach out to, but we also still understand that we're talking to the everyday woman. And so even when we are talking to those celebrities, we're literally talking to them about their everyday stuff. I don't really care about you. I mean, your album coming out is amazing, but how did you get to this album coming out? Exactly. Like, what trials did you, what hurdles did you have to jump over? What lemons did you have to dodge? What relationships died? Because something else, another topic that's very popular right now is people are losing friends. I lost a ton last year.
During COVID.
I look back on it now, I'm like, dang, I literally lost so many friends. And there's these memes that's like losing a friend, like friendships friend breakups are harder than like your platonic relationships. And it is.
It is.
It is. And so those are the conversations, even with the celebrities that we want to feature, that we will have. We just had a contributor do a post on Jada Waiter, and how she's a boss. That's still humanizing her to a way where we see you.
Right.
We see you. We see the things that they want to talk about, your baby daddy. They want to talk about these other things, but we want to talk about how you're not feeding into this drama. Right. How we're rising above and you're not. Yeah, you got baby daddy drama. Y'all may have broke up, but we still see you out here with grace and you're not bashing them. That's what we want to highlight. And so we'll still have those stories that are talking about celebrities, but to us, they're still everyday women that have everyday.
Of course. And I don't have anything about celebrities. It was just that it was a complete package for me. And then they took it away. I'm like, why did you stop talking about entrepreneurship?
Yeah. And they still do it, but it's in a different way, and it may not be in the actual magazine.
Yeah, because I still, depending on which, if there's a celebrity on there that I like who did they have that I absolutely had to get? Was it Mary Jane they had? No, that was Elle magazine. I don't know. If it's the right celebrity, I will still get it, if it's something. So, but like I said, I was subscribed to it for years. I always read that section first, and then it was
God.
I'm like, you didn't think about me. Like, what's going on here? So yeah, so that's why I'm saying I think you could totally be next to Essence Magazine. You gotta, it's a comprehensive, from looking at your website, you're very comprehensive what you tackle.
Yes.
Everybody's story is, welcome. Because we're so, as women, there's so many different stories. It's just nice to see, like you said, we don't ever want anybody feeling like it's just them, like they're going through something nobody else does. Because most situations are not unique to one person.
They are not unique to one person. And I always tell people, a lot of the times we don't go through what we go through for ourselves. We go through it so that we can help somebody else get through it. And so in the beginning, we used to always say, like, we turn our mess into our message. But even that for us was like, no, we're literally just a platform, because it didn't have to be messy. Right. For it to impact you in a way where it can impact somebody else. It can be grief. It can be, like I was just saying, a friendship breakup. It can be that depressive episode, whether it was seasonal or you're functional, like you function in depression. Mm-hmm. It can give those things, but sitting down talking about it is not only helping you, but it's going to help someone else too. And so we welcome all stories. We've had somebody, and we have people that publish anonymously. Okay. That's also something that we're very much open to. We had someone a few years ago, she did a series of posts, and she went into detail about her sexual assault and rape, and it was all with people within her family. And her family knew, and she was like, I need to get this out and I need to talk about it, but I'm not ready for my name to be on it. No problem.
That's a beautiful thing that you allow for that.
Yeah. Because some of the stories in the beginning, all of our stories were like super deep and tearjerkers. Like, we would be reading it like, oh my gosh, people really go through this. Right. Like, this is not just movie stuff. Like, people are literally going through it. And when you scroll some of these same people pages, you like, but they're on social media smiling, laughing, dancing. But they're literally still healing from the fact that their brother raped them repeatedly growing up and the family never did anything about it. That's crazy. The same with, we've had a couple people share their stories about being in abusive relationships. And one of the moms, we used to do, and I think we're going to do it again this year, but we used to adopt single moms around Christmas time, where when everyone else is focused on the kids and getting a kids gift, we pampered them, got them gifts. And we had one mom, when she first started, she had 2 boys. When we first honored her, she had 2 boys, and she was going through an abusive relationship and she was trying to get out of it. And so she shared her story with us. We published it and we were like, wait, this is amazing. So we honestly kept in contact with her throughout. Mm-hmm. Like, if you need anything, if you need encouragement, whatever. Now she's completely out of it. And then she started working with us to then pass it forward to another mom. And we like, this is what it's all about. Yeah. That was a program that's very special to me and Shantae, because we were both raised by single mothers. And for them, they still had a tribe. They still had a village to where it wasn't like difficult for them, even though neither one of our fathers may have been there all the time in the house. We still had uncles that stepped in. For her, she had a stepfather that stepped in. For me, I had uncles and my brother. Like, we still had that, but we also, like, single moms, or moms in general, not even just single moms in general, sacrifice so much for their kids, and no one pours back into them. We only think about the kids. No one pours back into them. So we used to do like Christmas parties and all of that. But this year we said we wanted to do, well, when we bring it back, if it is this year, we wanted to do it in July. versus December as like a Christmas in July.
Okay, I love it. Well, you're gonna have to let me know about it.
Yes, I will. Actually, I'm gonna have to talk to her, because if we're gonna do that again, we need to start planning.
Right, right.
And it's always nomination based, so we don't choose the moms. We allow people to nominate them.
Okay.
That's honestly how we've always gotten our moms. And we always end up with an influx of people. And we may have like, we can only do 10 moms. Mm-hmm. We always end up with more. And we're just taking them off. So I would say that's probably one of the best programming and best events and best initiatives that we have. Just because we see the impact right then and there.
That's crazy. That's I love it, because you're right. It's always all about the kids, you know.
It's even throughout the year when you think about going back to school, that's still a stressor for moms, because they have to think about how the kids are going to get to school. And if the kids are bad, they got to leave work and all of this other stuff. So it's literally throughout the year that moms are sacrificing. And if they're single moms, and they don't have the support of the father, or they don't have the support of family, that's even more of a stressor. Even if we think about now, so many moms weren't able to go back to work because their kids weren't in school, right? And so I would say now people have thought about that because of that reason, but single moms will always have a place in Strut, just because we understand from seeing it with our own moms.
That's nice that you even realized that. I mean, you know, I was a single mom, and my son is 25 now, and I think he realizes a little bit that it wasn't all easy peasy.
It does take some growing up to realize it. Like, when we started that Strut program, we probably were 23, 24. Mm-hmm. And so it took us some growing up. It took us having conversations, because as a kid, like, my mom never showed us that we didn't have money. So even when I had friends that would come over and they'd be like, y'all have a microwave, y'all are rich. And I'm like, bro, it's a microwave.
All right.
Like, it's a microwave, but everybody can't afford a microwave.
Right.
And even though for me, that's a simple appliance.
Yeah,
everybody can't afford it. Right. Even now, when you think about like air fryers, I feel like everybody has an air fryer. Everybody has an air fryer. You might not have a microwave no more because your air fryer is
right. Right.
But these are things that I feel like it's the simple things that we probably took for granted as a kid. That's like, wait, but everybody didn't have that.
Right.
Don't realize that until you're older and you're reflecting on these things, and you like, wait, all I knew was that mommy wasn't at my dance recital. But
exactly.
Oh, she was working because she had to pay for everything that I had needed for this dance recital. Oh,
right.
Like, it doesn't happen until you're older and you're having those conversations with your parent, or just reflecting on your own. So it definitely takes some growing up. And it was through those conversations and those reflections that we were having randomly on the phone, because our conversations will go any which way when we're on the phone. And it was like, wait, we need to do something.
And you did. It's awesome. It's a nice program. I really love it.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to be following you guys' pages to see what you guys are doing this year with your publications and your events. You got a lot going on with Strut In Her Shoes.
Yes, we do.
So parting words
that we want to do is like, wow, I can't believe that we're really trying to do all of this year, but we got it.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a good team behind you too.
I do. I really do. And like I said, I can't stress that enough, that I'm forever grateful to them. I always tell them, like, I owe y'all all a vacation. Like, one day Strut will be able to just send us all to an island and we can put our phones on D&D and we can just
relax.
Like, hopefully in a couple years, Strut vacations for everyone.
Right, that would be nice. Hey, I had somebody on my podcast. She recently took her team on a vacation in Florida. I'm like, woo, nice. So it will happen. It will happen.
That's the goal, and I believe that it will happen. This year, I can already see that it's gonna be different. Our mindset is different, even with the type of content that we're producing and the type of content that we're accepting. Even the people that's reaching out to us to be featured, it's completely different than any other year. So we can already feel that this is going to be an amazing year.
Okay.
And so I'm just really excited to see how it all comes together.
I think we're already after COVID too. I mean, not after COVID since we're still going through it, but we're learning to live with it, and we're just moving.
We've adjusted to normal.
Yeah.
We can't even see pandemic no more because honestly, it's still here.
Exactly, it is.
So we've definitely adjusted to the new normal. We know what we can and can't do, the precautions we need to take and everything.
Yeah, we're just living with it.
Yeah.
So parting words for us entrepreneurs that are still out here trying to get it together. What tips or parting words do you have for somebody that is getting started and they're like, I don't know, and what about that paycheck every week, and can I do it? Any tips what they should be watching out for, not to do, what to do? Keep your head.
And the first thing I'll say is to do it afraid. We'll never get to a point where fear doesn't exist. Fear is going to always exist. So we have to learn to just do it afraid. Do it with that fear. Allow that fear to push you towards it, and it'll happen. Also, this is another F word. Don't be afraid to fail.
Okay.
Their failure also leads to some of the fear because we're scared to fail. We're scared to not be successful. But you get to decide what success is to you. So you can't always look at, for you, $1 million may not be successful because $1 million is going to bring higher taxes. Right? So that may not be what success is to you. So define what success is to you and then strive for that level. And then once you reach that, then you can go to another level of success and another level. But you have to design what that looks like for you and understand that failure is going to come with it. But you got to dust your shoulders off and try again.
Right, because failure is never the end of the world.
It's never the end of the world. Also, rejection is not the end of the world. You're going to have people that don't buy into your product. You're going to have people that don't come to your events. You're going to have people that will never support you.
Right.
Also, not the end of the world. We choose the type of bread that we like. Right. There's a bread on the shelf and we choose which one we like. They're going to do the same thing with your business. So focus on the people that do support you, that do want to come to your events, that do want your products. Focus on them, love on them, and keep giving them what they want. Lastly, keep strutting. Despite what limits may be thrown at you, what hurdles you have to jump up, what the people that don't support you, keep strutting. And you don't always have to strut in heels. So you might have some seasons where you got to put on flats because it's tough, it's raining. And I know I don't like wearing heels when it's raining. You may have those seasons, you may have those storms that come and you're just tired. Also, listen to your body. There's a lot of times we think we adopt this mindset where it's work, but you can't do that because you won't live to see your body, like to see the success that you want. So listen to your body, take care of yourself. I am an avid supporter of naps. And granted, because I have to go into working out, I do not get my naps throughout the day. But I'm getting home at 5 o'clock, best believe I am taking an hour nap. I truly believe that naps are self-care.
They are.
You have to, like I said, give your body what it wants. My body wants naps, and so we're going to take them. And this was a conversation that we had on another podcast. We're conditioned to think that naps are unproductive, that when you're sitting down watching TV that you're unproductive. But no, you're honestly just giving your mind time to rest.
Right.
I call it mindless TV because I don't have to think. So when I feel myself getting stressed, I'm going to put on some ratchet, more than likely, because I don't have to I don't have to think. I can just laugh. I can be irritated at them.
Right.
I don't have to think about it. Also, do what you're passionate about. I think when the passion is there, that's what's going to help you get through those times when it's tough. Starting a magazine with no experience was tough, but because I was passionate, and like I said, that fear got to me, but because I was passionate about sharing these stories and being an advocate for overcoming persevering women, that's what's going to keep me going at the end of the day. So we may miss a deadline. That's okay, because we set our own deadlines. We may do this, but that's okay.
True. Those are some good parting words, Erikka.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast today.